Welcome to Small Town Whispers, where history, folklore, and the paranormal collide. I'm Bethany Yukis Borden, and I lived in Watseka, Illinois from 1988 to 1999. For over a decade, I walked the same streets, saw the same houses, and even had friends connected to the story we're about to dive into. This isn't just history for me, it's personal. Welcome back to Small Town Whispers. I'm so glad you made it this far with me. I hope you're in it for the long haul. It is going to be worth it, I promise. The next episode comes out Friday, January 16th. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it. Thank you again to anyone who has followed, shared, or reviewed the show. It helps us grow, and I appreciate it so much. When I was initially planning this podcast, my main goal was to keep the book Watseka alive. The printed copies are starting to get more rare and expensive. I feel very fortunate to have an original hardback with the cover. We don't all have time to sit down and read or listen to an entire book. This is a book I've loved for a long time, so it feels great getting to share it with all of you in this form. The podcast has become so much more than just me sharing a book. It's helped me reignite my spark. It's helped me reconnect with my roots and connect with other people curious about history and the mysteries of life. I forgot how engaging and emotional this book could be until I started rereading it and organizing it into the episodes. It's been a special treat to have my longtime friend from Watseka, Emily, read as the voice of Mary. She is recording all the way from Seattle, Washington. Her aunt, Mary Ann, got involved as the voice of Katrina. She's recording those hearty laughs all the way in Duluth, Minnesota. You heard my friend Caroline's voice as Mrs. Seacrest's grandmother. Caroline recorded her lines right here in my apartment. Singing has been a main connection of ours here in Wilmington, so it's fitting she did voiceovers for the podcast. I appreciate all of these ladies' time and talent so much. I love that we can have participation in the podcast from near and far. Speaking of that, today's Porchlight Whispers segment is extra special. We get to hear the current owner of the house and the two ladies who take care of it in between guests speak candidly right inside the home in Watseka. They are answering some questions that I've been dying to have answered, and I think you're going to love to hear their conversation. You only hear part of it on the podcast today. If you want to hear the entire thing and see some pictures that go along with their stories, head over to the Small Town Whispers Patreon page. It's linked in the description below. Both of the ladies that take care of the house also provided their voice in the Gossiper section in episode 5. Shout out to everybody that lended their voice to that segment. I loved how people recorded from all different parts of the country, including in Watseka. Thank you guys so much. I wasn't sure if I'd get any Porchlight Whispers stories at first, but it's been cool to hear all of them. There are many more to come in 2026. I'm investigating Emily's Bridge up in Vermont and the Three-Legged Lady Road in Mississippi right now. If you have a story to share, make sure to email us at porchlightwhispers@gmail.com. If you'd like to support the show, you can check out that link below or go to the Buzzsprout website to support us. I can't wait to see what stories we get in the future, and I can't wait for you to see what happens next in this story. What happened in Lavinia Durst's home could no longer be whispered away. Mary's confrontation with her turned violent. The sheriff was called. Mary was restrained and taken home. The only reason she wasn't locked up was because of the clout her family had in Watseka. By the next morning, all of Watseka knew what this meant. Whatever had been happening to Mary was no longer contained within parlors and seances. It had spilled into the streets. From that moment on, the question was no longer, what is happening to Mary? It was, what do we do with her? The town's answer came quickly. Mary did not have to be sent to Springfield, but she could not stay in Watseka. Not anymore. For Asa Roff, that ultimatum was unbearable. To protect his daughter, he would have to send her away. To keep her close, he would have to fight for her care with doctors that might not even believe her. Asa did what he had been doing all along. He went looking for answers himself. He traveled to Peoria, hoping to negotiate more treatment, more time, and perhaps more understanding for his daughter. And that is where we return to the book Watseka, America's most extraordinary case of possession and exorcism, on page 100. Even though it had been a little over 2 years since Asa had seen the doctors Nevins and Kenyon, it seemed they were wearing the same clothes and smiling the same smiles. "If I understand you correctly, sir," said Dr. Nevins, "your daughter has had more than one of her seizures since she was with us." Asa nodded. He'd already told them of the suicide attempt in the woods and the attack on Lavinia Durst. He hadn't told them about the seance. Somehow, he couldn't. "Has she been eating?" asked Dr. Kenyon. "Now that she is under sedation, not a great deal," Asa replied. "She ate rather well before, however." "Have you been bleeding her?" "No, there have been no leeches for a while." "And as happened here," Dr. Nevins asked, "I suppose there are no advance warnings to these seizures? No way to foretell their coming and to prepare for them?" "I thought I'd already explained that point, Doctor." Asa realized he had never liked this man. If there was a way to tell when these attacks were going to occur, then we would have taken the necessary precautions to see that they didn't occur. "Exactly," the doctor said, and looked at his partner. He rose and extended his hand. "Mr. Roff, Dr. Kenyon and I must consult about this matter. There are things that must be evaluated before we agree to having your daughter as a patient again. We will write you of our decision." "Write me? I've come all the way from Watseka, and I must have a decision now." Asa was on his feet. What kind of a game were they playing with him? "This matter is most urgent," he said. "I have to make the arrangements now." "And if we refuse to accept your daughter?" Dr. Kenyon asked in a calm voice. "Then I shall have to commit her to the asylum in Springfield," said Asa. "A decision must be made, either here or Springfield." "Then it will have to be Springfield." Dr. Nevins was still smiling as he walked closer to the door, hoping Asa understood that the interview was over. "But why?" Asa demanded. "We are about to receive several adult males from the Army," Dr. Nevins said. "Soldiers who have sustained severe battle shock. This will hardly be the place for your young daughter." "But I am willing to pay." "The government pays better, sir, and for a longer period of time." "But—" Asa had not expected this refusal. "What can I do?" "Springfield," said Dr. Kenyon. "It's not that bad." "It's terrible. I've been in there. I've seen how they treat their patients. They are all mad over there." Asa was shouting now. "My daughter is sick, not crazy." "That's what you say, Mr. Roff. Loved ones are always sick. No one has a loved one who is crazy." "Well," Asa fought to put words and not emotions in his mouth. "Well, where else can I go? If you can't take her, is there another place like yours? I don't want her in a crazy house." "There is no other place like ours," said Dr. Kenyon. "We are unique in medical practice in this state." "Another state?" He searched eagerly. They shook their heads. Asa grabbed Dr. Nevins by the lapels of his jacket. "You must help my daughter. Don't refuse her. She's only a child. Please." Dr. Nevins removed Asa's hands and smoothed his jacket. "From your actions, sir, it would appear that this madness runs in the family," he said coldly. "I'm sorry," Asa muttered. "I lost control for a minute." "Mr. Roff, your daughter is mad. She is not sick. This was evident to us when she was here 2 years ago, and everything you have told us indicates we were correct. Now she has grown progressively worse. This is not a madhouse. We operate a clinic for those who can be saved." "My daughter can be saved!" Asa shouted in his face. "No, she can't," the doctor replied. "Only the madhouse. Only in Springfield." "I'll pay you double, triple. We do not want her here for 100 times the regular fee. No, Mr. Roff, take your daughter to Springfield. Now, if you will excuse us, we have other duties that need our attention." Both doctors walked quickly from the room, leaving Asa standing alone, unable to stop the terrible pressure that was building up behind his eyes. Rather than stay at a hotel in Peoria, he took the night train to Springfield, sitting up in the coach unable to sleep or eat. He wished he had a bottle with him. At least the whiskey would help him relax. He didn't spend more than 10 minutes in the director's office of the insane asylum. The Watseka court order had already been received and was on file. The director asked him to have Mary there no later than July 5th. They would try and give her special consideration. Did he wish to see the institution? Well then, did he wish to see the ward where Mary would be kept? He understood. Then goodbye until the 5th. Anne cried a great deal after Asa told her the results of the trip. Nervy and Lucy both went about their chores with red, swollen eyes. Anne and Asa decided not to tell the boys. Asa called upon the sheriff and then on the mayor to tell them that Mary would be going to Springfield on the 5th. There was a train that left Watseka at 7:45 a.m. and arrived in the state capital by nightfall. Until that date, Asa would make certain that Mary was guarded at all times and would not be permitted to leave the house. She would not have another chance to bother the good citizens of Watseka. Asa also would appreciate it if word got around that he didn't want any visitors until after Mary went away. Anne was not fit to receive callers, and he, quite frankly, wasn't interested in seeing anyone. There was a sigh of relief all over town. Mad Mary was going away. Mad Mary was going to be locked up, and everyone could relax once more. Asa decided not to tell Mary what was about to happen to her. He also took her off the sedative potion. He wanted her to return to her old self for these last 2 weeks. In a few days, she was back at the family table, helping Anne with the housework and Lucy with the cooking. She started to make a set of napkins, large butterflies in the center and tiny roses in each corner. Each time Anne saw her working on them, she would leave the room in tears. She knew Mary wouldn't be allowed to finish them, since no needles were permitted where she was going. The atmosphere in the house was heavy. Nervy cried, and Lucy prayed. Asa abandoned his work and spent as much time as he could with Mary. At night, he'd lay awake thinking about the dreaded moment when he would leave Mary at the asylum. On July 4th, the family celebrated more loudly and more noisily than any of them remembered. That night, just after supper, Asa informed Mary that they were going to take a trip. They would leave early in the morning and take the train to Springfield. He wanted her to spend the rest of the evening packing the clothes she wanted to take along for a few days or a couple of weeks, whichever he decided after they got there. Mary looked at him.
"What are we going to do in Springfield?"
"Take a vacation," he said. "You always wanted to see the state capitol building, and I have some business there. I thought you'd like to come with me." How he hated himself for lying to her.
"Are you coming, Ma?"
Anne shook her head.
"Nervy?"
"No, Mary. It'll just be you and me. You ain't ever had a vacation with just your pa." He smiled, wanting to reach out and hold her, but not daring to display any emotion that would give himself away.
"I'll be good with you, Pa. And maybe on the way back we can go through Decatur and see Cousin Mary Lou. Do you think we could?"
"We might," he said, and walked quickly toward the front door. "I think I'll get some air before bedtime," he called back to her. "Pack your bags now." He hoped she didn't see his tears. He was waiting for the sun when it shone through his window the next morning. Another sleepless night. Anne was asleep. She had taken to drinking a few drops of Mary's potion before going to bed. He glanced at the clock on the wall. Not quite 5:30. Not quite time to get dressed and started on what would be the saddest journey of his life. Suddenly, he heard a piercing scream from Mary's room. It rent the warm, damp air with its shrillness. Asa jumped out of bed and ran across the hall. Nervy had heard it too and was right behind him. He opened the door and looked in his daughter's bed. Mary was lying with one arm hanging over the side of the bed. Her eyes were open. She was dead. What a mystery. I'm not gonna lie, that ending brought tears to my eyes. I even knew it was coming this time and it still got me. How did she die? Does it make you wonder? I really wonder if it had anything to do with the leeches or all the treatments in Peoria. It's a mystery from history. Now that we know what happened to Mary Roff, we will be shifting into the experience another family had in Watseka, the Venom family. We will hear their story in part 2 of the book starting in mid-January. You're about to hear an interview with John, Abby, and Stacy. They just got the Christmas trees up in the Roff home. This interview was taken on Monday, December 22nd, from inside the Roff home.
Now, join me under the porch light, the place where memories meet the present and voices from the past still linger in the dark. Tonight, we listen, not to the pages from a book, but to the people who have felt the unexplained and found the courage to share it. Welcome to Porchlight Whispers.
This week, we get an exclusive sneak peek into the Roff home from 2 of the people who know it best. Abby and Stacy have a unique opportunity in Watseka to do a really cool job. As Abby so beautifully put it, they love and care for the Roff home after people stay in the house. In addition, the current owner of the home, John Whitman, has also graciously offered to share his own experiences with the house. Welcome to the podcast, everybody. John, when did you initially live in Watseka?
Well, I was born and raised in Watseka, and I grew up with the fascination with the Watseka Wonder story.
So you knew the history of the house when you lived in town. Did its history influence your decision to return and purchase it?
When I was 7 years old, the fictionalized account of the Watseka Wonder story, called Watseka by David St. Clair, was published. That loomed large in my imagination as I imagined this very intense and crazy supernatural and paranormal story playing out in town. I lived in New York City for 10 years, and while I was there, I met a man who was a philosophy professor, and he told me that as part of his PhD thesis, he wrote about the Watseka Wonder story because he was writing about conflicting views of the world in the 19th century, and that this story played into a spiritualist view of the world, and that they used it as evidence for their beliefs. That was the first time that I realized that the Watseka Wonder story was much more than just a local ghost story. It was something that was really meant to be a reflection of evidence of people's investigation into what the true nature of the world is. I returned to Watseka in 2005 for reasons unrelated to the house, but I had an option: live with my parents at 40 years old or buy a haunted house and do a complete gut renovation. So I opted for the latter.
Nice, John. You're living my dream. Good choice. And really, I think we can be thankful not only that you're renovating the house, but that you're sharing it as an Airbnb for all of us to experience. Stacy, when did you start caring for the house?
I started caring for the house, I think this is my 3rd Christmas here. I think I started in November of 22.
Abby, what about you? When did you start caring for the house?
I have been caring for the house just over a year. I started last year, right before Christmas.
Stacy, I've known you for many years. We go back, having attended high school and church together in the 90s. Did you know about the history of the Roff home back then?
Yes, I'm from Watseka originally. I read the Watseka Wonder, the Dr. Stevens account that they have available at the old courthouse museum. I read that first. And then I got to, after being on a long waiting list at the library, got to check out the Hollywood version, is what I call it, the book by David St. Clair. I eventually tracked down my own copy, so I own it now. Yes, I knew about this story growing up, and I know the story now.
Nice. Ah, the Hollywood version. That's what I keep thinking. It is very embellished, isn't it? But so entertaining. Abby, did you know about the house's history or about the book?
I did know about the house's history before I started taking care of it. Back when John was still in renovation time, I came for an investigation with Watseka After Dark paranormal group. And that was really my first experience here. I'd been intrigued since high school, again, reading that Hollywood version of the story Watseka. Now I've been digging in more to the history, and it is really interesting, and I love it.
That's awesome, Abby. I love that we've all read the book. Stacy, your whole family got involved with the podcast. In fact, I think your 13-year-old daughters also read the book. What was it like recording the gossip lines from the book Watseka with your family for episode 5?
It was so much fun. All of my children are characters, and it was really fun to hear my husband get into the old lady voice.
Oh my gosh, his voiceover was so pro.
My kids really got a kick out of it. I have a 7-year-old and a 13-year-old, and we just all had fun with it.
I'm so glad you guys had fun. It's so cool to do creative things with your family, especially with the kids. Okay, back to you, John. You've been renovating the house for about 15 years now. Was there anything hidden that you discovered, or did anything unexplained happen in its restoration?
I would say that the thing that I discovered that was hidden was the original character of the house. If something wasn't nailed down or cemented in, people who were here before me took it with them. When I first bought the house, it was painted barn red outside, and it was painted pink inside. So I'd always thought of it as, this house that had been painted and had these certain colors.
Let me play that clip for you again. Listen close for a special sound at the beginning and end.
I'd always thought of it as, this house that had been painted and had these certain colors. And that's not a ghost cat in the background.
Yeah.
That is my cat walking around, probably wanting some food. The house was like a giant puzzle, a giant mystery. What did the house originally look like? What was it like when the Roffs were here? And so I let the house speak for itself over time. I'd ask myself, well, why is that door there? Why is that trim different than this trim? Why is that doorknob different than this doorknob? Why is that hinge different than that hinge? And then I would look for patterns, and I would let the house speak for itself and explain, well, this is why I am this kind of door, or this kind of trim, or this kind of hinge. And then over time, I was able to realize this is original, this is a replacement, or this is an upgrade, or this is something that was put in later. And then I'd say, well, what was original about the house? In that way, I was able to put together stages of renovation and a plan that could take the house back to the way it was when it was first built, and especially respecting the color scheme. I dug under 150 years of paint to get down to the original layer of paint that was against the wood. You could see the grains in the paint still. And then I took it to Chicago and had it analyzed so that historic preservation contractors could tell me what the original color scheme of the house was. So that was what I uncovered that was, that I discovered at the house. Its actual original character.
John, having stayed 2 nights in the house, I can attest to the attention to detail you used in every little thing you did. The furniture, the artwork, the paint. I'm just blown away. Thank you for going above and beyond to keep history alive. So guys, do you remember this song from the 80s? Things that make you go, Things that make you go, Oh yeah. Well, there were a couple things that made me go, when I was in the house. But what are some experiences you've had that made you go,
The weirdest thing that's happened here is I've been in the kitchen. I was standing under a light, and there was some napkins that were in the wrong place, and I just kind of wondered out loud to myself, I wonder if John wants these in the china cabinet. As soon as I asked that, the light above my head started flickering to the point where it was just an annoyance, and I didn't think anything of it. I didn't think ghost. I didn't get scared. I just reached up and unscrewed the light bulb until it stopped flickering. Fast forward to the end of the night, and I'm getting ready to leave, and I went into the kitchen to shut the kitchen light off, and I shut it off, and I was like, oh wait, I gotta screw that bulb back in. Flipped it back on, and all of the lights came on, and I never even screwed the light bulb back into the socket, and it was almost unscrewed all the the way. To me, that was kind of odd. That's probably the spookiest thing that's happened, aside from feeling like I'm being watched when I'm in this room specifically, in the back parlor, and it's night and we have the lights on. I feel like there's people outside looking in, especially out there.
You know, I actually had that same experience when I first bought the house.
Oh, wow.
I would feel like something or someone or someones were in the backyard looking in at me, especially when I was in the kitchen.
I feel it in the kitchen, too.
I do too. Yeah.
But this big picture window mostly as well.
Right. I came in for cleaning and the faucet was on full blast, and it's very clearly indicated in the instructions for the state, the guests here, to make sure all the faucets are off, and this one you have to raise the lever up to make, and it was just full blast on, and I was like, housekeeping, because I thought, oh, maybe somebody was ill and they ran to get meds. I mean, I play a whole scenario because surely it's not anything else, but no, there was no one here.
Was it?
It was the underneath the stairs, the half bath, and
I've come in with the upstairs carpeted bathroom faucet being on, but I think that's more of like a leak or a drip. It's never been full blast, but it's been full blast in the kitchen, but I think it was guests.
Yeah, there's been more than once when I was cleaning where I did feel that eyes on me, and I think, oh, it's time to go get something to eat, and I'll just finish up a little bit later.
Yeah, if it's nighttime, I prefer to have company, like real company.
Yeah.
A couple of times that's happened where an Airbnb guest who's not here for anything related to the story, they're just here like to do work in town, they'll write me and they'll say, we heard a dog whining coming from the TV room upstairs, which was actually Laurenti's bedroom. Has anyone ever told you that before? It's like the rules are leave the Airbnb guests alone. Right. Keep to yourself. But then if people are coming here looking for ghosts, then put on a show. That's the rule. Somebody about a year ago writes me out of the blue and was like, is your house haunted? And I'm like, God damn it. Why do you ask? He felt he was predisposed to it, and then he got here, and then it was like a natural fit.
This is all so fascinating. I definitely felt the most vibes in the TV room, back staircase down into the kitchen. At this point, I'm almost convinced I picked up some sounds from the kitchen that weren't happening on my audio when I stayed there. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this. The Christmas trees look great in the house. So do you have any final thoughts?
Final thoughts are, it's an amazing space, it's a beautiful space, and I just love the history that comes along with it because there's more than just Mary. Mary never lived here, and I don't think a lot of people realize that. Catherine Clifton lived here for so long, and she was just an awesome woman to begin with. She was a pilot, she had her own runway out back. My favorite part about the house is the grotto that she built with all the rocks from all over the world.
I mean, the house to me is a monument to spiritualism, and it's also a chance to step back in time and say, okay, how did other people live? How did people live 150 years ago? How did they build something? For me, when I come in the house, I feel like it's got a certain weight to it, like the weight of everyone who's lived here, and you feel like it's a place where people have lived out their lives. I'm glad to be able to make it available to people to be able to experience it, whether it's about the Watseka Wonder story or just to experience a house like this. I think it's a great place to reflect on what is the true nature of the world, and is there more than what we can just reach out and touch.
I highly recommend, if you're interested, book it. Go visit. It's awesome. Until next time.
That was this week's edition of Porchlight Whispers. Do you have an experience of your own to tell? We want to hear your stories. Share your experience and let your small town whispers become part of ours.
And with that, the porch light dims, but the whispers stay with us. Join us again next time when another voice steps into the light.